So my first tournament that I appeared at, I had never been at a tournament before.
How
So
did you get
literally,
into it?
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, like, just the athlete behind everything, just to say, yeah, whatever happens, let's go, let's roll with it. So one of my boys, CJ, one of the ones that got me into golf,
Mm-hmm.
he works for a company who sponsored a whole lot of event out at Oak Creek in Irvine.
I see.
And
Good
I was
golf
like,
course.
phenomenal course. So he was like, hey, my company has a booth. Why don't you just come out and, just set up your stuff on part of the table? And I was like, okay. So I'm like, okay, well, what do I need at a tournament? Now, PGA Merchandise Show
Right.
that January, I went out, and actually the company that made this for me, I'm gonna give them a shout out, Loco Canopies, out in Irvine. Phenomenal
Nice.
company. I met them literally as I was walking through Orange County Convention Center, and I see this big, like, bright setup. Their colors are orange and black, so they got like lights, and they got canopies and the orange with the black, and I mean, it just popped out. So I went over there and talked to him like, yo, I think I'm gonna need one of these for one of the tournaments. And it was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I'm Long Beach, so like, oh, we're Irvine, we're neighbors, so we connected. When I got back, they basically, I told them what I wanted, what I needed, and they put it all together. So fast forward, as that is being created, my buddy CJ is like, yo, come out to this tournament. And I'm like, okay, I've never been to a tournament. So I literally, other than the stuff that I was going to get made or having made at the time, I didn't know what to have. I was just like, he was like, look, just bring your product, just come set up at the table. And that was my first tournament. I wasn't even prepared to make a sale. Like, I didn't have nothing set up with Square. I'm literally just out there. People like, oh, again, picking this up like, oh, what's ClubPur's? Like, pronouncing it correctly. So I'm like, oh, yeah, it's cleaning products. And I'm like kind of stuttering. And I kind of like just get in the flow of saying, like, that's how I started my spiel. And surprisingly, like, two ladies in one of the last groups that came were like, oh, how much? And I had already had my pricing down. And I was like, oh, yeah, today, for 25. And they were like, okay, I'll buy one. I didn't have change. So she was like, oh, cool. And then her other partner was like, oh, yeah, I'll buy one too. And that's literally how I made my first two sales. Was at this tournament. And my boy CJ is looking in the corner of his eye, cheesing, like, ooh, like all excited. And I'm just looking like, okay, cool. So
I guess I can make this work.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that was the first physical transaction and confirmation.